a former SAS soldier who became a national hero following the 1980 Iranian Embassy siege, said today the only terrorist to survive the raid should still be in prison, as he slammed his local council for leaving him homeless. Bob Curry, 64, who became known as Backdoor Bob after being photographed storming the embassy, served for 16 years in the Special Air Service and had a 17-year military career. But despite his service to his country, he is now forced to sleep on his daughter's sofa and in a B&B paid for by his old regiment after he lost his home. Mr. Curry, who appeared on Good Morning Britain today, revealed how he has been forced to sell off his metals and says he has been stuck in a constant battle with Herefordshire Council after becoming homeless. The 61-year-old has a plush flat with its own balcony and as of May was living rent-free. The chain smoker became eligible for parole 3 years ago after serving 28 years in jail, and his application was approved in October 2008. Mr. Curry, a former sergeant who has had 2 heart attacks and is registered disabled and a diabetic, saw action during the Falklands War and also served in Northern Ireland. He became penniless after the breakdown of his marriage and the loss of his home following the collapse of his business, which taught veterans to become locksmiths, in July. He murdered people in this country. Mr. Curry, who helped to save 19 hostages during the embassy siege, said, "If it wasn't for the Legion, I would be sleeping in my car or on a park bench." He also revealed that in one of the B&Bs he has stayed in, since he became homeless, he had to ask permission to go to the toilet. He said, "I had limited company from 1989 to last year, but when the mod pulled the contract, it all snowballed from there." "It was heartbreaking, because I was awarded them by this great country we live in. And it's not just me.It is the other veterans, the 1300 of them living on the street." They were normal people when they went into the military.We owe them a debt of gratitude. Mr. Curry added, "We have had a constant battle with the council, we really have. It wasn't until the ex-mayor of Hereford stepped in and started asking questions that anything has happened." "But to this day I still haven't got anywhere to live." Last week Mail Online reported that another hero, Warrant Officer Ian Chucky White, who also stormed the embassy, was forced to sell his hard-earned medals in a bid to stay afloat. Their issues are in stark contrast to Nejad.A, a friend of his previously told The Sun. He lives off benefits and is on disability because he has a bad back. He also loves a night out in the West End, and he has an eye for the ladies.He will say, "I went out, had a drink, and got some pee." It's a proper playboy lifestyle. Nejad and 5 other gunmen forced their way into the embassy in West London in April 1980, demanding independence for part of southern Iran and taking 26 hostages. They killed a hostage after 6 days, which led then Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher to order the SAS to storm the building. A second hostage was killed in the attack. Nejad tried to hide among the hostages but was caught and sentenced to life in jail for conspiracy to murder, false imprisonment, possession of a firearm and 2 charges of manslaughter. He was rumbled by heroes including Ian White, who had to sell his old medals last year to pay off his mortgage and finally retire. Mr. White, who served in the military for 25 years, said Britain should do more to help ex-servicemen. Speaking in November, the ex-commando said, "This is not a cry of poverty, it is my decision." "I am endgaming.I am trying to make a better life to finish with, rather than be spluttering about." "It would be nice to think that I didn't have to do it. I know there are a lot of guys, ex-servicemen, who are up against it, and maybe they could get more help." In America their veterans get money off this, that and the other, but here there is a great amount of "let's dis the forces." Those people should stand up and take the bullets, rather than stand behind them and diss them. Warrant Officer John Thompson also sold his medals back in 2012 after finding out how valuable they were after going on the ITV Antiques program Real Deal. Mr. Thompson was one of the SAS team flown into London by helicopter who then stormed the building by abseiling from the roof in a successful rescue bid that killed 5 of the terrorists. Thompson and one of his 3 colleagues from A Squadron were sent to the front of the building, where they fired gas canisters into the embassy and were pictured doing so. Former policeman Trevor Locke, who was among the hostages taken during the siege, called for action to be taken to help Mr. Curry. The 78-year-old told Mail Online, "It's such a sad situation. Nobody deserves to be homeless, especially those who'd have been in the military, but that is just my opinion." Different people deal with situations in different ways. I don't know his circumstances, but some people struggle to deal with civil life and adapting to it all. "I feel very sorry for him and wish him well. He was the best of the best, and now he is in this position." "I need sorting as far as I'm concerned." Former Sergeant Trevor Cole. who was awarded the Military Cross in 2006 for his bravery in a machine gun ambush involving suicide bombers and gunmen in Baghdad, was made aware of his plight. Mr. Colt, who has spoken to the homeless veteran, told the Mail, "This hero abseiled in and went through one of the windows with a charge and cleared rooms. It is a disgrace this veteran is not being looked after. If we can't sort out these veterans in Hereford, where they live, then what hope is there for other heroes? It is understood the regiment have been paying for Mr. Curry's B&B for around a month." In 2015, the SAS veteran put his medals up for sale. He was one of the first to break into the besieged London building in May 1980 after 26 people were held hostage by 6 armed Iranian dissidents. The Special Forces soldier, aged 27 at the time, was watched by millions of TV news viewers as he smashed open a window with a sledgehammer, allowing his colleagues to sensationally storm the building. The Iranian Embassy siege. The day the SAS emerged from the shadows, the siege began when a group of 6 gunmen stormed into the Iranian Embassy in South Kensington, London, on April 30, 1980. They took mostly embassy staff hostage, but among them was BBC sound recordist Sim Harris, who was at the embassy to get a visa. The terrorists demanded the release of prisoners in Khuzestan province in southern Iran during a series of tense negotiations with the police, who sealed off the embassy and surrounding streets. The gunmen also demanded safe passage out of the Britain.The veteran was among those who took part in the famous SAS raid of the Iranian Embassy in 1980. After becoming frustrated with the lack of progress over 5 days, they shot one of the hostages and threw his body out of the embassy. The death was the signal for the SAS motto "Who dares wins" to be sent in. The SAS teams, who had arrived secretly in London from their Hereford base, were given permission by Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher to carry out a rescue mission given the codename Operation Nimrod. On the evening of May 5, TV news cut into normal programming to broadcast the beginning of the end of the siege as the SAS soldiers, all clad in black, abseiled down the front of the building. Millions watched on as they tossed stun grenades into the building to begin their assault. The raid lasted just 17 minutes, and all but one of the 6 gunmen were shot and killed. A second hostage was shot dead by the gunman, and 2 others seriously wounded. The televised raid was the first time the British public had ever seen the Special Forces soldiers in action, and elevated them to superstar status. Fowzi Nejad, the surviving gunman, was jailed for life and freed in 2008 after serving 27 years. As millions of Britons watched the drama unfold, Curry ran towards the building, despite the risk that a failed explosive which was due to blow open a way into the embassy could still go off. He then kicked the charge out of the way, smashed the window, and was the first to climb inside. His heroic actions allowed a crack squad of 4 SAS soldiers to enter the rear of the building in South Kensington and clear the ground floor in the cellar. Five gunmen were killed and one was arrested. Although one hostage died, 19 were freed. Afterwards, one SAS hero was awarded the George Medal, and 4 others were given the Queen's Gallantry Medal, but Curry was not one of them. He did, however, earn campaign medals for his service in Northern Ireland and the Falklands War. It is understood he was made homeless after he split from his wife last year and contacted the council asking for accommodation. He asked 5 times, it was claimed, but they offered him 2 homes which allegedly he claims were not suitable. Curry was born in Cambridgeshire in 1953 and enlisted in the Royal Anglian Regiment as a 15-year-old junior soldier in 1968. After the Iranian Embassy siege, he served with the SAS in the Falklands War in Northern Ireland. Discharged in 1985, he spent 3 years working for the Al Fayed family, including 1 year as the personal bodyguard of Dodi Al Fayed, later killed alongside Diana, Princess of Wales, in a Paris car crash. A spokesman for Herefordshire Council confirmed an agreement was yet to be reached on a home for the veteran, but said 2 offers had been made. A statement read, Herefordshire Council can confirm that it is actively working with this individual to secure accommodation within the county. Unfortunately, to date the individual has not provided all the documentation needed to legally register for housing. However, regardless of this, the council's housing team has found and offered 2 different forms of accommodation in areas which were agreeable to the individual, but which have subsequently been turned down. We are continuing to work with the individual to help them secure appropriate housing.